Hello there, I'm Paul Alger from the UK Fashion and Textile Association, and today I'm meeting with Douglas Cordeaux of Fox Flannels as part of UKFT's British Textile Week in association with the Cloth Workers Company and the Campaign for Wool. This week, as you will know, we're celebrating quality and innovation in British textiles, and I'm delighted that Douglas has joined us today from Bristol to talk to us about perhaps one of the more outlying firms of the British textile industry, in that they're not based in Yorkshire or the borders of Scotland. So, Douglas, really good to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask you just in a few words to tell us about yourself and Fox Flannels to start off?
Yeah, so my name is Douglas Cordeaux. I'm the managing director and joint owner of Fox Brothers in Wellington. Fox Brothers was established in 1772, and actually on the site it was actually a company called Ware and Company, which started in 1620. And there is this wonderful story that at one point the company was making uniform cloth for both sides of the English Civil War. So it just gives you an idea of the history of the company and the ground that Fox Brothers is on, which is a very important ingredient of our cloth as well, is the history and the surrounds of the mill in Somerset.
And tell me a little bit about what it is that you do. I mean, I know that you have the west of England tweed, for example, but you specialise in a number of different textiles.
Yeah, so our trademark is flannel, so the west of England flannel. Very, very heavily milled cloths is our trademark, and our earliest example of that is in a tiny little archive book dated 1773. So just 1 year after the official foundation of the company, we see grey flannel in a small book. So, we've been doing flannel for a long time. It's a very distinctive cloth. It's very, very warm, heavily milled. It takes a lot of making. And there's something very, very special about the flannel that we weave. There's something instantly recognisable. It's almost like owning a little bit of. It's like owning a listed building. So it's something. It's something. There's something in the cloth that is very, very unique to Fox as well. I mean, I know there's wool, and merino wool is a big ingredient, but there's so much more. There's centuries of know-how that's gone into it. And we're coming up for 250 years of making flannel. So, to me, that's really, really special. And I think that's what people are buying into now as well. Not only the ingredients that have gone into it, but it's actually the social history, everything that has gone into Fox. So it's very iconic.
That's wonderful. And you're a major exporter, so you spend a lot of time exporting. Where do you tend to export to primarily?
We export now all over the world with our tailoring, with our cut length business. One of the major markets is Japan. They just get what we do, whether it be shoes or, they really understand a good British English product. And, I love their sensibility as well. Anything that you put into your product, they really respect it and they really get it as well. But, it's such a nice feeling that it's not always about price. It's about the actual product they're buying as well. And I love that market. The sensibility, the style. I think they have a fantastic eye for things as well. Great patience, and it's a market that you can grow with as well. You can learn a lot from the Japanese market, not only by product but also how they do business as well. Another important market for us is France, with the fashion houses as well, very supportive of the cloth that we make. They really understand the distinctive look of a Fox flannel, and also our other cloths now that we're producing. So you mentioned earlier the Fox tweed, which is, it takes its references actually come from the surrounding areas we're in. You know, we're surrounded by Exmoor, the Quantock Hills, and the colours there have inspired us to make the tweed. And you know, tweed is such a lovely vehicle for using colour and wool. So it's one of our most exciting products as well. Actually, in times like this as well, where people, you know, are moving away from grey and blue suits. Today we're not wearing ties because this is, you know, a slightly different environment we're in now, but you know, I still see people dressing really well, whether it's a jacket, you know, nicely tailored jacket with denim or chinos is fantastic, you know, and it's using all the elements that we should be supporting as well.
One of the things I've noticed, Douglas, is that you as a business are ahead of quite a number of the textile companies in your approach to social media and engaging with the younger consumer. Why is that, and how does that help your business?
I like the social media aspect because you can get in contact directly with your end consumer, and they tell you so much. They tell you if they like things. They also tell you if they don't like things. But you learn a lot, and that's just a story here is my son, who's 14. You know, he knows what I do, and you know, it's all about suits and Savile Row, and he's like, oh yeah, great. But actually, the collaboration we did with Adidas changed his view of what we did because, you know, he's a young consumer coming up, and he actually understands product. And as soon as his friends at school would say, "Hey, Fox, they do those trainers with Adidas," and you think, actually, that's fantastic. And that message only really got through via social media. The way that Size promoted it, the way that Adidas promoted it, and the way that we promoted it, and the fact that it got to a 14-year-old that is my family who didn't really understand what I did to then really getting it and then asking lots of questions about it. So I think social media is such an important platform, and everybody can do it because you know, you're on the doorstep, you know your business, go and photograph the loom, go and photograph what you're doing, because people are really interested in how, you know, the provenance. You know, we make British cloth, we make English cloth, and everybody loves it. But if you can show how it's made, or the ingredient that's gone in, the design process, how it's made up, and, you know, people are really, really interested, and, you know, you're not hiding anything.
And it's you're creating and educating the next generation of consumer for Fox flannels. So I think that's to be very much applauded.
Yeah, and we enjoy it. It's really exciting as well. And then, you know, as I say, getting the feedback is fantastic, because yeah, you have to think about the generations coming up, because, you know, at the moment I don't see too many people wearing lots of greys and blue suits, but I do see them wearing, you know, as I was saying, tweed jackets mixed with Japanese denim, and, you know, cultural things that really go together really well. And I think people are interested in learning where those things come from.
And you mentioned the collaborations, and presumably that is part of the future. Obviously, the people that created Fox flannels in the 1700s couldn't possibly have imagined the way that you'd be structuring your business now. But how do you see the future of the business?
I see, you know, we're obviously in a terrible climate at the moment. You know, no one knows really what is happening, where things are going to go. So, you know, we're thinking about different opportunities. We're now, both of us, in our homes. So, you know, we're looking at how we expand the business into a home business. So not just interiors, but how do we work with, you know, how do we work with the campaign for wool? How do we look at insulating our houses with wool? You know, since I've been involved with the campaign for wool, then, you know, wool is in everything I really think about, whether it be from carpets, and, you know, how do we get more wool in interiors? Yeah, we can use cloth as well. So yeah, we're exploring all of those avenues as well, that we can, you know, deliver the Fox kind of lifestyle into a house complete. So, but using all these same ingredients that you learned from the Fox past generations, how you know, they were in lots of interesting different markets, and, through tough times as well, you see how they kind of develop their business. You think, well, there is opportunity here as well. It gets you thinking in a different way, and you have to think in a different way, otherwise you just end up lying in bed looking at the ceiling at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God.
It's a scary prospect.
Yeah. So you've got to look through that.
And you mentioned the lifestyle. So what sort of products do you think might come through a Fox lifestyle collection? What sort of things would you be looking at to complement your textile range?
So we have a beautiful showroom in Somerset that really kind of reflects what Fox Brothers is about. So the idea is there that we'll furnish the whole room, but also using other cloth from around the world. So it's almost like the grand tour collection from all the cities that I've been to, all the traveling to Japan. So it'll be introducing indigo. It will be introducing introducing Casentino from Tuscany. So like-minded textile mills, putting them all together in one room and creating a lifestyle. So we're bringing in some beautiful linen from Naples. A textile mill in Naples. We don't do linen, but you need linen for your table cloths, your napkins, and the whole thing. So we're also looking at ceramics made in Tuscany and looking what other things that we can make in this country as well to really kind of shout about good things. Really, it doesn't matter where they're from, but as long as they're good things with good provenance.
That's great. And then finally, then, if I can ask you, what in your view make British textiles special?
To me, British textiles, there's something about them. There's something, I know when I'm walking along and I see a jacket or something, I get myself nearer to it, the hand comes out, and there's something very special about English textiles. I think being in textiles and actually knowing the pain behind producing cloth, you think, yeah, I can see that. And when there's a beautiful suit, so there's a beautiful suit made in Savile Row, or it's made in Naples, a beautiful tailored suit in English cloth, there's something very, very special about it as well. And I think that's what we do so well. And often we don't, it's going back to the social media thing, is sometimes we don't shout about what we do enough. We're sometimes a little bit too reserved. Reserved's good and understated's good, but I think in these times we need to all get together and shout a little bit about what we do, because English textiles, they're beautiful. And Harris tweed, what is that? Is that the oldest trademark? I mean, it's just very special. I was going back, if Fox did make cloth for the both sides of the English Civil War, that's a very special bit of history. And all the textile companies have their own unique stories to tell, and I think we should be telling them a little bit more. And actually, the Japanese are very good at finding those stories and pulling them out of us and then explaining to other people. So yeah, I love it. I think the industry is fantastic, and the industry is really, really tough. And I was going to say we've probably been through tougher times, but that's not the case. I don't think anybody's been through anything like this.
This is probably tougher. I think most people I speak to say that the example we used to give was 9/11 and how difficult it was, but at least after 9/11 you could plan ahead, you knew what we were dealing with, but this is much tougher. But I think that's wonderful. Thank you for that, Douglas. You've answered certainly all of my questions. I suppose the other thing I was going to ask you was how you see the future probably looking into 20 years down the line for Fox Flannels. I mean, how do you see Fox Flannels in 20 years' time?
In 20 years' time, I would have hoped that we would have reached because in some respect the world did have to change. There was too many things, too much stuff, and I think that will have worked itself out. I think there will be a greater understanding of natural products, going back to the campaign for wool as well, that it's a responsible product, it's a fantastic product. I love the fact that, wool is biodegradable. And I think shouting about these kind of natural products as well, I think is going to be really, really important. And also not buying tons of stuff. If you're buying a wool product, it will last. And, it's curating wardrobes. You don't need to go out on a Friday night just to buy something to put into landfill. I think that will all change as well. So, definitely buy less, but buying well. People would have done research by then. There'd be a lot more kind of provenance hunters, So in some ways, very exciting.
Douglas Cordeaux, thank you so much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you, Paul.
And thank you for taking part in British Textile Week.
Thank you.